Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today it's the man child. Okay, got a hold of the 40th anniversary Master Universe He-Man and Skeletor 2-pack. This was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and it also had a limited run on Mattel Creations, which sold out, yeah, pretty fast. Um, so I look at the box. And that's the mailer, obviously, but yeah, just awesome. Exploding Rocks, 40th, right? Got our Master Universe, and yeah, He-Man holding the Power Sword, old school, like the vintage cartoon. Just a quick look at the back of the mailer. Cool. It's got a pencil sketch of the He-Man. It's in a box and a Skeletor and that Ring of Absolute Power. So that itself's pretty cool. Looking at that art. And this is the box inside the box. Look at that. The box itself is just holy cow. Look how awesome that is. Yeah, it looks like a big crate, and it's cool. You got this. Now this is like three. Now see this how it opens up. Yeah, you got this cool shield. Got a lot of little different Easter eggs to me in it, like a Castle Grayskull kind of going thing with the double swords. You got like the shield with Skeletor, some feathers, I guess, for the sorceress. Looks like a helmet that could have been, I guess, Viking He-Man maybe one time. Just yeah, a lot of little cool things. So that's all right. That's the front. We'll open up a second. That's kind of the back again. You got the 40th anniversary now. It's in color with the He-Man. Yeah, cool wood grain color and stuff like that. Yeah, there's little tabs. These come out. Let's open it up. Look at that. Man, now I gotta say, this He-Man and Skeletor look incredible. Just the head sculpt, the way Skeletor is done. I mean, if you like the Revelations line, but you really want that, vintage nostalgia, He-Man and Skeletor going back when we were kids, but with more of a modern sculpt. But instead of a classic style this time, which was the big thing we get in Revelation style, these guys are perfect. So check out that layout, man. The Masterverse. It's yeah, it tells a little story. The 40 He-Man, Sorceress, the whole, you can read it, all that cool stuff. It's yeah, these little bubbles are cool. Got the 40th, you can see that logo up in there. I absolutely, and Exploding Rocks, of course. I absolutely love how the set is done. Just I never seen this coming. So taking a look at the set, having all the you're opening stuff to open stuff just to get at the figures, right? The mail or the box, but now this pops out like so. Check that out. So this whole faceplate comes off, which is cool, right? It's not like the Origins where it's taped and you take the figure out, you got to destroy it. It's collector friendly. It's even got a little tab in there, right? Pretty neat. Look at that. You get the original comics. Old school comics came with the original first He-Man Skeletor in the day in the 80s when we were kids. The ring. Here's the solar weapons. Everything's die cast. Extra hands. All right, we got here. This is Skeletor Staff. He had hands and his own power sword. What a great layout. Here's a quick look with everything out of the box, right? Our He-Man, Skeletor, all accessories, comic books. Now, we'll go through everything one at a time. I gotta say, these die-cast weapons are incredible. I was like, all right, die-cast weapons, ain't a big deal. I'll wait till the He-Man with the plastic, but what a difference. I mean, it feels like a real shield, sword. I mean, it's heavy, it almost feels sharp. Even a battle axe. Now, the ram staff, this is all, actually the top is die-cast. We'll take a closer look at it in store, but it's in the ring. I'm glad I got it, really cool. Okay, bringing He-Man for a closer look, right? He-Man's probably one of the most requested characters. Everybody really wants to know what that head and face sculpt looks like. Seems to be more critical on Skeletor from the comments I've seen. So, there it is. I think it's really well done. The hair, the sculpt, yeah, just the way, the teeth are showing it with the mouth hit in half. Kind of, it's more of a, I don't know, semi-grin maybe. Yep, the eyes for the first time you really see this vintage inspired head with white in the eyes, and then of course the black pupils. There's the front and the back. Yeah, really cool. And just for reference, now I don't have a vintage He-Man, but check that out. Now that's a 1/12 scale, or excuse me, a 1/6 scale, or for the 12-inch Mundo He-Man. You get this vintage inspired head. You can actually put on a figure. Of course, it looks silly compared to the super modern sculpt that first release He-Man. But they do give it to you, and it's inspired by the 1980s vintage He-Man head. So you kind of see, if you're curious, and now you get a really, a lot larger look with this one, just the detail of where the inspiration came from, and you compare it to this head. Now, the hair's darker, it's a little more narrow. You can see there's some updated changes to match the aesthetics of this body. Very similar to kind of like the classics. It seems, I thought from the images the head was going to be a lot like a meathead. I always remind me like just had a big wide meathead we always liked, but they did slim it down a little bit. And for one more quick example too, now this was a custom, I got this on eBay, vintage inspired Origins head that went on the Origins figure before the Origins released that 1880s head. So this was exactly the size, paint for the most part, scale what that 80s head looked like. And now with this He-Man, the Origins peg, or excuse me, the Revelation peg. Now this is the obviously He-Man. Doesn't seem to fit this head. You kind of sit it on here, but if you're curious what it looks like on the body, right, Origins He-Man head, kind of snap it down. It's what that looks like. Yeah, the head's won't even lock. And I also throw another, the first style head that came with the Origins. Some people liked, some people didn't, but now that one did fit. So it was actually just something wrong in that custom head. It didn't fit right. From day one, it never really fit right. You had to put tape and I think about it. So it's kind of that head on there, but yeah, it does work. It articulates on that body. So the Origins, it's the same peg as the Origins, is what I'm saying. But check that out. And here's the first release, Origins He-Man head on its, new body, right? Check that out. Articulates, works on the peg, same way. And this is a Classics head on this body. I might have to heat and push it down. It looks like it will pop all the way in there. I'm trying to kind of force it. You can see, but even if I do that, the hair rests on the shoulders anyway, and it seems to pop up. It looks like you could modify and make it work. Doesn't look too bad, and the skin tone on this particular Classics head, I think this came on from the Flying Fist He-Man, the classic one, because I've actually I'll bring him in. I put the vintage inspired head on that guy, and put this one away, but it's kind of what that looks like on that body. And for one last comparison, speaking of vintage inspired heads, so this is a Classics Flying Fist He-Man with that was their version of the head that came out. That was supposed to be reminiscent of this head, and you can really see the difference. Kind of curious what they look like, but that's those two side by side. And for fun, I thought I'd throw the 40th anniversary He-Man head on the Master Universe Origins body, so check that out. Yeah, it's awesome. It looks really cool on it, but the skin color isn't exact. This is more tan. It's like whitish with kind of a tannish, like a overspray or something. That's what most of the body in this He-Man is like too. See, it's a nice tan, but it has some kind of a wash on it, dark, dirty wash. You can see that in certain areas. Bring it in closer. I wanted to mention that. The head's very similar. And this is the Origins, obviously, head on this new body. Now, there was always something wrong with these heads. They're really loose, but if you're curious what it looks like, you can always fix it up with tape. It's okay, it's real because of the hair or something. Yeah, I'd rather the other head for this body, but it does work. And here's a full comparison against our 40th anniversary He-Man to one of the first released He-Man classics with, that classic style head, of course, which we already tried on. They're both really cool. This guy's a lot bigger, where that's, I think, what was more interesting with the classics. They had that larger buck over the earlier Revelation body. Everybody liked the aesthetics better on this, including me. It looks more realistic, very reminiscent to the vintage, but of course not modern, classic style. But look at the size of this guy compared. Not only the height, but just the bulkiness. And I also want to try the classics chest harness, right, on the new He-Man. I mean, it looks awesome, but the problem is, see, it doesn't, you can get it on, but then you can't get this cross piece to snap. That's how this goes on, no matter how hard you push these together, see? And without the armor on the classics and the 40th anniversary, this is the difference in the bucks. All right, check that out, front and back. You look at the size of that buck, pretty cool. And here's the 40th anniversary armored on our classics He-Man, so it does fit, but see, real loose. And yeah, I don't care for this thing. You got to really push this in and lock it to hold. But once you get it to go, yeah, it's kind of what it looks like. Works pretty cool. So moving on with our He-Man with the head articulation left to right. Okay, back and down like so. Moving on to our arm articulation. Has, the typical arm aesthetics as the Revelations. I kind of wish, that's just how they do it, to pull the elbows all the way in with the pinless joints. It would have been cool if this was rounded out a little more, but that's how these Revelation style bodies were from day one. But all the same articulation. Okay, up, down, forward, back. Bicep, as I already showed, you can bend all the way at the elbow. Okay, you got your hand. So a hinge joint in and out. And the other hand's all the same. Okay, and this one has that larger bracer. It can pop off when you pop the hands off. And then this side, of course, has that short bracer. And this bracer it's glued on. It doesn't look like so. Yeah, let's pop the hand off for a minute, the peg. Okay, so it's a Revelation style peg. It will also fit the words. Oh no, look at that. Wow. It actually comes off. Cool. Because some of the Revelations, they were glued on. All right, and this one does too. Pop the hand out while we're doing this. And pull out. So checking out our chest armor. Now, it's kind of, yeah, it's cool. This cross is like sculpted outwards. It's not just like flat. Okay, it's red. The whole armor's done in metallic. Gray silver looks like, but the back is different. You'd think it would be the two straps go down and lock that we're familiar with. This is kind of, mine keeps popping off. I don't know if I like this design too much. Kind of goes in like that, and I guess it's supposed to snap, but mine's not holding too well. But that's how it locks that armor on the back. And again, to take it off, you see how easy that fell off? Let's see, let's check that out. So, all right, here's our armor up close. And here's our buck with the He-Man. Now, it does look like, compared to most Revelations, yeah, newer, bigger buck in the chest. I like that. I'm happy with that. Yeah, it looks completely different to me. So while we're comparing bucks, right, for one last comparison. Oh, this was interesting, too. This was a custom eBay. I showed this before. Also, another vintage Inspire head. So, right, take a close look. Check those out together, side by side. But, yeah, obviously, we're focusing on the bucks. Yeah, completely different. This is a way better. I like this better for He-Man. This is what this first release Revelation He-Man's buck should have been. But without the armors, right? And obviously different colors. And you can see the arm aesthetics are the same. But, yep, there's the fronts and there's the backs. But way better buck. So, completely redesigned. Even the abs, I like that. It's way better for this He-Man. The articulation in the buck. Okay, we can spin left to right. And then go down and up that far. And then, of course, she has articulation in the waist. So checking out the belt, it's got that, you know, it's just a, yeah, orange, metallic orange belt all the way around. So part of sculpted around the waist. And now the loincloth is pretty cool. Now it is flexible. You even have a plastic piece under there too. But it's all flocked. Check that out. Moving on to our leg articulation. Now he can go all the way out with a split like so. Kind of go forward. You don't want to go about back that far. You know, typical spinning. I got that thigh split there. Pinless joints in the knees. Go all the way back. And you can spin it in the boot too. Up at the top of the rim is also, it's all flocked on both sides. That's pretty neat. And then the rest of the boot's just painted. And you got articulation too, right? Up and down and left to right. It seems like it's kind of like on a rocker joint. So let's check out He-Man's weapons and accessories. Look at that power sword. That's the coolest power sword I've seen yet in all the different He-Man Motu lines. You know, of course, the die cast makes it night and day, but it's very Filmation inspired. Blade sharp. It's just, yeah, coolest one I've seen yet. And of course, we have our vintage inspired axe. Again, awesome. That die cast. Blades are almost sharp. The design. It's so cool. It went die cast with these weapons. Then we get the vintage inspired shield with the orange in it. Die cast. Yeah, awesome. Now the back's all in plastic. It's got, you know, a grip part with your arm to go through. Did a great job with that. But that's really cool for a shield. Then we get an open hand for the left side and then a punch and fist for the right side. So I thought this would be interesting, and shout out to Geek Illustrator Dad. He follows the channel, is one of the members in the community on YouTube. Can He-Man hold the power sword similar to the Filmation art? That was an excellent question. So I'm kind of trying it out now. Right, we're going to drag in our box for a second. We're looking for this, that iconic, more or less symbol, right? You know, it's something like this. The hand's up. The head's supposed to be looking up like so. This hand's, according to the art, he's turned like this. Now, this hand you should change out with the open hand. But I'm going to leave this one on for now. And look something like that. Yeah, it's okay. The problem is the sword's really heavy. And and I can't get his head, at least with mine, something like that, looking up. Can't get this hand to twist all the way. Maybe, you know, maybe you got to manipulate. Okay, something like that, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I guess you kind of can. It's not bad. So if you could see that, to answer your question, that's what this He-Man, where most have a hard time, I guess, holding that sword to transform the power like we're familiar with in the Filmation. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. Works. Now I'm going to put I'm going to change out the open hand on the left side. I'll keep the bracer on. That's going to be used for our shield. And then it looks like the shield will more or less go like this. You know, like, you know, the hand will slip through the grip like so. Here's a quick look now at our He-Man with the sword in hand, a shield in the other. Check that out. Now, these This shield's really heavy. It really puts pressure sometimes on the elbow of mine and the upper shoulder. So as this joint sometimes become loose, yeah, it really drops. Look at that. Can't believe the weight on this thing. Here's a quick look at our He-Man with the battle axe ready. Check that out in hand. So before we move on with Skeletor, there's a couple more accessories I want to go over. We have the Ring of Absolute Power, right? We get it now in metal. This was the plastic one. It would come with Triclops. This one glow in the dark. If you're not familiar. This is the Origins one. It's not the vintage, but the Origins kind of remade with the vintage. And it opened up and said Masters Universe in here. Well, now we got this metal one. Really cool. Check that out. The sculpt with the skull. And I think this opens up as well. And it has 40th anniversary in there. And I don't know. It almost looks like... Does that glow? I think it might glow. So I thought maybe this had an LED effect in it. It doesn't look like it. It's just a translucent piece of red plastic. Okay, when you close it, does nothing. If you get light to pass through it, like I'm using with this flashlight or something, the eyes will glow. And check out these vintage inspired comic books that when we were kids came with the first He-Man Skeletor. Yeah, Mattel 1981. Check that out. If you're not familiar, open it up. Now that looks like a new piece of art from I remember, but yeah, old school. How some of the early concepts were with Skeletor. You have all this stuff, right? Teela. That's a gray skull. That version of Stratos, that a gray one we got, is a toy. We call the comic book inspired, but yeah, check that out. Man. The art's so cool too, the pictures. And we have this one. This one's my favorite. I have this art, and like I have this big Motu Master Bible Guy comic book. I like this with the Red Beast Man, the the Lords of Power concept kind of things. But Ular, going back into that whole thing. Goddess, the Red Beast Man. Check that out. Two halves of Power Swords, where it was introduced. Cool. Yeah, art was awesome. So finally, let's talk about the Lord of Evil, Skeletor. Yeah, he came out really cool too. I like his new redesign. Has the same bucket, looks like. Bring He-Man in, right? He-Man, the chest, the abs, the whole deal. Head looks great. Armored. We'll take the armored off, of course, and take a closer look at him. But, yeah, again, this is the way, like, He-Man, the Revelation line, as far as the buck, the upper buck, should have been done. Especially He-Man. That's one thing I didn't like the He-Man we compared. The chest never looked right. It's too narrow. It's just too skinny. The color looks better on He-Man, where that other one was yellow. Of course, our head, but... yeah, this is how they should have been done. With Skeletor, too. It came out great. So, taking a closer look at Skeletor with that head. Yeah, it looks awesome. I love the way just the colors, the sculpting in it. Yeah, the hoods, or articulation, right, left to right. Go down and up. Now, the jaw is kind of, looks like it's articulated. Look at that. Go down, that's it, closed. But mine does fall down. Somebody on Instagram mentioned that to me, too. So, I'm bringing it up now. I like the painting, but mine does not say closed. Apparently, this is a problem with these. If you want to leave it in a position like that. But yeah, it does fall down. And that's kind of what it looks like opened up. So one of those things where you put some joint fix, liquid in there or something. But I don't know. For what it is, I absolutely love the head sculpt on a Skeletor. Moving on, our chest and armored. Got his typical Skeletor armored. This one too. It's just everything's got yeah, different highlights. Different shaded highlights now. It looks like in here it might be it's like black all in here instead of just purple. And then the bat symbol's purple. I mean, even the shoulder pieces extend off. The little button kind of things are painted silver. Of course, this crossbones is highlighted with, another shade, metallic. The little emblem in there is painted. You can see all these are done. Yeah, that's cool. It's not just one. If they just did it one color like purple, been fine too for Skeletor. But yeah, they went that extra mile. And with the armored on, the articulation, so we'll twist at the waist. Can also move up at the, the ab section of the ab. And with our ab crunch, go way back and forward. Now, he can go down a little bit further too than He-Man, seems like. So he can go that far. And then moving on to our arms, same exact arms as He-Man aside. He doesn't have the bracers. He's got those little, the creature forearms like Skeletor's known for. Same thing as a closed hand. On this, 2 closed hands he comes with, and 2 additional ones we'll show soon. But everything all the same. We'll check it out, right, for fun. Down, up, forward, back. Make sure we don't have any QC issues. Which these type of figures are pretty good usually. Okay, spin there. Let's see. See, my elbow is really getting stuck. Okay, there it goes. So, all right, at the elbow, and then right, twisted the hand, and got the hinge joint in and out. Other arms are all the same, so everything feels good. Okay, spin this, that, twisted the hand, and moving down to the waist. We got this, known armored groin guard or something Skeletor always wears. Same thing. Now this one's all in purple. It looks like even that little face in here too. I don't know if that has a highlight. Maybe this might be my light. I think it's all purple. But they got little buttons here to paint it. And that, typically looks like comes off like how they all come off. Let's check it out. Okay, it just pops off like so. Okay, get rid of that. So it's kind of, if you didn't want to use it, it's what Skeletor looks like at the loincloth, and then just a purple belt sculpted all the way around. And his is obviously, is this flocked? No, I don't know if it would be, but it's just black. It's all soft. You can bend it up. And moving on to our legs. So let's see. Skeletor can go all the way out. As far as the articulation, right? That little weird cut in the thigh. Let's do our front kick. All right, cool. Go all the way forward. You can only go back so far with these guys, which is fine. Okay, bend all the way up at the knee. Twist. We already did that. Spin at the boot. Got these cool, even the boots have a little bit different extra detail on them. Purple, and they got some black wash. Yeah, just difference. They just one flat sculpt, so it's pretty neat. It's got his typical creature feet. Articulation too. Go down, up, right, spin left to right, and it's kind of like some type of a pivot joint or something. Feels like a rocker joint. So with Skeletor's armor, as far as removing it, now this has the typical straps, which I like, over the new He-Man armor. I don't know. You're going to pop the head off, and it's going to pop off like that, right? And then here's the buck underneath. Check that out. It's exactly the same as He-Man's, right? Upper buck, color, abs, same deal. Articulation's all the same, so that's cool. Yeah, I love it. Again, these bucks are perfect for this style of He-Man figures. So let's do a comparison against our 40th anniversary Skeletor and, of course, our classic Skeletor. All right, check them out side by side, kind of what they look like from the front, right? It's the back, differences. And our 40th anniversary Skeletor head on the classics body. It does work, but this one, see, the peg doesn't snap in there. Now, you can use tape, you can use something if you want to shore it up. But unless you hold them upside down, it's going to fall off. It do have articulation up and down, all of that. You can make it work. And here's the classic Skeletor head on the 40th anniversary body. It does work. I had to push it down. It is very tight, the articulation, but, for the most part, it looks pretty cool. And just like He-Man, there's a comparison with the bucks. I mean, obviously, it's the classics, the 40th new Skeletor, so you can see the difference. And here's the 40th anniversary cross-armored on the classic Skeletor body. And, of course, I put his head back on. But, yeah, that works great. It fits really good. No, not really. It's not too loose either. And, of course, I'm trying the classic Skeletor cross-armored on our new 40th body. Yeah, it looks good on the front, and it fits fine that way. But when you get to the back, same thing like the He-Man, try to snap together. It's not going to work. You can't get these straps to go up. So, yeah, I thought I'd show that. Right, let's do a little comparison against our first release Revelation Skeletor buck and body compared to the new one. Now, obviously, the color's a lot different. We know about the heads, but yeah, this is how they should have been. All of these figures. I like these aesthetics a lot better. All right, and getting into little head swaps. This is our first release Revelation head on this new body. Yeah, it could work. Looks a little smaller, but again, it's perfect for this body. Maybe by the time you put the armor on, it's fine. And then this is our Skeletor head on the older style body, which, yeah, works pretty cool. I'd rather this head looks better on this body than this one on this body, I think, just because the body's so big and the head's small. But it can work, and they work fine. Articulate, the whole deal. Now, another thing, too, with this new Skeletor body, the Revelation Skeletor armor doesn't really work. If you like this arm for some reason, maybe it does. You can pop, let me see. You can get one side on, so that's how it hooks, but see, this other side, you can't. It's not even close. You're half-inch off. You can't even get this on. Okay, so we got our Skeletor dressed back up with the armor, right? And I put the cape on, too, from the first release Revelation Skeletor. Curious what that looks like. I just happen to put it on outside the armor. You can take it off, put it underneath, put the armor over, but then it doesn't look right. It's all stuck. It's kind of what it looks like. And then, of course, he had a sword thing. I don't know. It's kind of, I think you would want to go underneath it. Kind of weird look, but does work. To do a little more comparisons, I just thought I'd bring in our Origins Terra Skeletor. He was the last one released. Compare him next to this new Skeletor. Yeah, that mouth too had an open. I like this head on this one, so let's change them out and see what they look like. Okay, and it's kind of, yeah, switch the heads around. Look pretty cool. Work on both bodies. Articulate. And so that's his Origins head on that Skeletor. This was the very first release of Origins head on a regular Skeletor. All right, check that out with the open mouth, so that works good too. This was the Origins closed mouth variant face of Skeletor. All right, see what that looks like. And this was the Barbarian Skeletor from the new Eternia line. That head looks really cool in that body too. Even the helmet, everything matches, I think. That looks pretty cool. And to go that extra mile, I also have the Origins 2000X Skeletor head from Wave 9. That looks really cool in this body. I wasn't going to try that originally, but check that out. And for 1 second, let's bring He-Man back into the picture. I wanted to do a comparison between him and the Origins He-Man for fun, because they're reminiscent both of the vintage. And while we have this He-Man out, I also have the 2000X style Origins head from He-Man and put it on this body. Check that out like we did with Skeletor. Yeah, it works pretty cool. Paint's not bad, but it's different, you know. So getting back to Skeletor and his accessories, we got the cool ram staff. Yeah, it's all plastic as far as the staff itself, but the ram and the skull up top, that's die cast. Just that part, kind of see that. And the horns are they're plastic. Now it's different design from the first release Revelation ram staff, which was really cool in itself. This is more in line with the new Eternia ram staff that came with the Barbarian Skeletor. It's exactly the same from what I can see. Side, this is die cast and the color's different, but yeah, I'm glad it's cool they threw that addition in, the way they designed it for the Skeletor. And of course, we got Skeletor's iconic sword to match He-Man's, but done in a metallic light purple, right? Exactly the same. Yeah, die cast really cool and heavy as well, but so of course you get that. And then you just get an alternative pair of hands like He-Man, punching fist for the right side, and then he has an open hand for the left. And of course, with Skeletor's armor, we got that little strap in the back. And the power sword, you can hold it. It's kind of going like so. Looks just like that. It works good. Holds great. And of course, here's a quick look at our Skeletor with his staff and sword in hand. Now, the staff is, again, like I said, really heavy. And you have to, because if you, so I'm resting it, and it seems to balance them okay without using like a Kaiser figure stand. But if you want to hold it up in another position, you can. But it really, he'll hold it after a while. Okay, now he's holding it. But after a while, it's just his arm will drop, or he might fall forward if you don't get him in the right pose. He can hold it, so something like that. But yeah, really heavy, But otherwise, it looks great. That's just, yeah, that's a Skeletor we need with all accessories. Perfect. Doesn't get any better like that, than that for the Revelation line with Skeletor. So I think we went over everything pretty well, what I can think of. But yeah, my opinion, I think this is the way the He-Man line, this Revelation line or New Eternia line should really go. I just, the Bucks in general and having those vintage heads are pretty cool. The weapons. Now, of course, this He-Man Skeletor, it's going to work for us who grew up with this kind of brand. And you can also introduce other characters in line, but it would be cool to see, a Beastman, a Merman, guys like that to fit these newer aesthetics. Which I'm pretty sure with these two out and how successful this is. I noticed it sold out very quickly. I think you're going to see more of these guys. Now, for people who can get their hands on these because they were exclusives, it's just, yeah, you either had to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I got mine from somebody out there, that's how I got a hold of mine. Or they were the Mattel Creations, which sold out quick, and you don't even get them till October. Now, we know He-Man is coming out. I think he went back on Amazon, a Big Bad Toy Store, this He-Man for the pre-order. Now, you're not going to get the die-cast weapons. You're not going to get the flocked shorts and boots, but that's okay. The die-cast weapons are really cool, but they're really, every time I pose them, they're really heavy. They're bulky. So I would have no problem just getting the plastic ones, and I don't need the flocked shorts and all that stuff. As long as it's just He-Man from what I see in the images, I'm more than happy with that. So this He-Man, you're going to get your chance to get your hands on him. Skeletor, I have no doubt it's going to be the same thing. You're going to get a single car release, won't have die-cast weapons, big deal. You'll get plastic, but you'll definitely get your chance to get your hands on these. And I have no doubt this line is going to introduce newer figures. So hoping that makes you feel better if people couldn't get, just couldn't get these. Because these are great. You got to get them. I love them. Aside a little gripe with the heavy weapon. It was silly stuff. they're perfect. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you're doing great. And until next time, take care.